Welcome back to another episode of the Brew and Ink podcast. All right, and welcome, faithful listeners, back to another Brew and Ink episode. We are here after the Thanksgiving holiday. We have come out of our comas. We have our Monday night brew drafty kilt with us, a Scotch ale. Can't go wrong with that.
This is one of their best, man. I don't know if you've had it before.
I have.
This is one of their best.
But I don't buy Monday night brewing normally, so it's always a treat for me to drink their stuff because I do like it. It's not like Sweetwater. Like Sweetwater is one of our local ones that a lot of people like, and I don't like half of their stuff.
Yeah,
there's
I'm not a
one or
huge
two.
Sweetwater fan.
But Monday night,
I haven't had anything by Monday night that I didn't love.
Mm-hmm.
And even their IPAs, which I'm not a big IPA guy, even their IPAs are I like them. I mean,
yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
But I love a good dark malty rich beer to wrap up a day. But we're not at the point to wrapping up yet. We're just beginning here.
It's just beginning.
And we are bringing, or you are bringing, the next part
Yeah.
of the Singularity episode today. It's episode 12. You had some large shoes to fill.
I did.
With bringing in this character and getting him intertwined with the storyline.
Yep.
And then bringing it to a head of another two choices.
That's right.
Which we'll get to at the end. But before we get into the story, how was your holiday weekend?
My holiday was amazing.
Yeah.
We had some time off that we didn't think we were going to have time as a family on Thursday night. So some of the people in my wife's family were all getting sick. So we had to cancel Thanksgiving, which was really sad. But we were able to spend Thursday night as a family.
Yeah.
Thursday
Nice.
morning, we went out to the Potter's House, which is a facility and a program for men with addiction and homelessness. And we served Thanksgiving to some of the men and their families. So some of the men are on, they can't leave the grounds.
They have to stay.
They're at that point of the program where they're still limited and they have to stay on grounds. But their families can come and be with them.
Nice.
So for this is the second year we've done it, and it's
You guys
so
went
amazing.
and did games and stuff with them again, and
No, it wasn't much games. It was
okay.
mostly just sitting down and eating, and these
Having
guys
good conversation.
It was just great conversation, and I loved it. And so we love that. But then that evening, I've done something I wanted to do for the past few years, so I took it as an opportunity. We still hadn't watched Charlie Brown Thanksgiving, which is a must every year.
Right.
And I've always wanted to make the meal that they eat.
Go on.
Toast, jelly beans, pretzel sticks, and popcorn. I've always wanted to make that.
This seems like a great array of snacks for watching a movie or something.
So I literally made, I didn't make the jelly beans or the pretzel sticks, but I made popcorn, I made toast, I got jelly beans, I got pretzel sticks, and I literally made little plates for all of us, and we sat down. And my kids, their minds were blown. They were like, "Dad, what did you just do?
What are you doing? What are you doing?"
And anyway, so it was a fun night. And then we had Friday afternoon was my family, was my mother and my dad and my family's Thanksgiving. That was amazing. So it was an amazing time. I didn't get really any time off. I pretty much worked every day.
Oh wow, yeah.
Since like the whole month, like the beginning of November, like just every day, whether I'm working my job or whatever I'm doing, I found
you had something to do.
I've been writing. I've been trying to get to the deadlines, which is, I think, our topic for the night. The deadline has been looming. And so anyway, and there was more to do as usual. Like I should have known.
Right.
There was more to do than I really thought I had to do. And so I've been busting my butt the last few days trying to get everything put together. But,
very nice.
Anyway, so that's been my holiday. What about you?
Yeah, well, we had family come in town, brother-in-law and his fiance. They came late Wednesday night, and we basically entertained them, every day. Since then, we had her family over at our house for the Thanksgiving afternoon. And then we went over to my brother's house for Thanksgiving round 2, which is always a battle. That's an uphill battle there. You're already full.
Oh, wow.
And then you show up and everyone brings a dessert, and you're going, I think I can.
Right.
Give me coffee. Do you have any coffee? So managed to make it through that second round of Thanksgiving meal. It was good, though. It was good to be with family and just see everyone together at the same time, whereas throughout the year it's kind of here and there. And then we went out and braved some late night shopping at Walmart.
You're a braver man than me.
Yeah, it was just Chris
Thursday
and I.
night?
We didn't take the kids. We went Thursday night.
Oh, okay.
And we went late. We knew we'd already missed all like the big deals and everything. We knew we were going after everyone already been shot and stabbed, so we were, we went and just to see what we could find. And it was fun. It was entertaining. I enjoyed just going out and adventuring. Then we went the next day up to Helen, Georgia, because they were doing the lighting of the lights.
Cool.
So we got there after everything was lit up, and we spent time walking around, getting some candy and fudge.
It's like a downtown Helen?
Yeah, yep.
I love that place.
Yeah, it was good. It was a nice little day trip. And the kids got to play at the playground. That was a highlight for them.
Yeah.
And then we wrapped it up with going to see Frozen 2 today.
You told me that.
And
what did you think?
I liked it. I initial reaction is I think it was a more epic and adventurous movie than the first one.
Right.
And it expounded on some of the details that are in the first one, but they didn't really ever explain as to why
certain things happen. Yeah.
And maybe they didn't have an explanation at that point, and then when it came time to write 2, they're like, we should try and tie these things in, which they did. But now that I'm thinking about it, there are a few things that I would like to divulge into or talk about.
Do a spoiler-filled episode one day?
Yeah, because there's a few things where I'm like, I feel like what their parents did in the first movie doesn't really match up with the things that they're doing in the second movie, sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So there's that. So that's a little teaser I'll put out there for that.
Little teaser.
But it was epic. There's lots of magic, lots of adventure. It was.
Oh, wait, was there singing?
Oh, there was lots of singing.
Oh, okay.
There's even a a 90s style ballad by Christoph. Yeah. Music video style and everything. Superimposed, large close-up shots of him with himself in the background singing. So, classic.
Nicely done.
Yeah, nicely done.
Yeah, I've heard mixed things about it. I've heard some people who really did not like it.
Yeah?
And then I've heard, I was talking with someone today, I guess they saw it yesterday. Somebody at church had seen it, and she loved it. She's in high school.
Visually,
loved it.
And conceptually, there are parts of it that you go, man, this is an awesome movie. Like, this is the best Disney princess movie that I've seen in regards to that. But there are other parts of it that people probably wouldn't like. But yeah, so there's that. Got some writing done. Got some time to put the house back together after having family all in. But yeah, it was good. It was a good holiday weekend. I can't believe it's already December now.
Right?
Yeah. And then other people are trying to make it an even bigger deal by saying not only is it the last month of the year, but it's the last month of a decade. So there's that. No pressure.
We gotta fit everything in.
Right. Yeah. Speaking of fitting everything in,
yes,
let's talk about deadlines. So when it comes to writing, really one of the best and sometimes only ways to get something done is to give yourself a deadline or have someone else give you a deadline. For us creative types, if we don't have deadlines, that project is going to stay out there in the amalgamation of the creative process until we're dead, and then our children go, what is this? I should finish this.
Yeah, right. Well, the head guy, CEO of the company that I work for,
Yeah.
he says often nothing happens without a deadline.
Yeah.
And so he likes to give deadlines. Not that he likes to keep them, as
Right.
much,
Yeah.
but he likes to give them. He likes to have them. And so when you're dealing with traditional publishing, something that writers have to understand is that's a business and they have plans, right?
Right.
So they don't want to put out 5 different books in 1 week. They want to space out
Right.
what they have to publish. And so they give deadlines based on, it'll take this long to edit it. It'll take this long to do the graphics. It'll take this long to print it. It'll take this long to put it
marketing.
out. So they have whole plans for a book, and that's not always a writer's favorite thing, is to be tied to a deadline. And so my first deadline is actually today.
Yeah.
I'm not going to turn anything in until tomorrow because today is Sunday when we're recording this.
Yes.
And December the 1st. And so I figure no one's going to be in the office until tomorrow anyway.
Right.
So I'll turn it in tomorrow. And so this is the first time I've had a deadline from a traditional publisher.
Yeah.
Now, in the past, as a self-published author, I have tried to give myself deadlines, and sometimes I keep them.
Right.
But when you're self-published, it's much harder to take them as seriously. Like when it's just for you, like you have to be really accountable to yourself.
Yeah.
You have to be really self-motivated.
Really disciplined.
Really disciplined. Very good.
Yeah.
And so I think deadlines are really good, and I think, I don't want to say forcing, but kind of forcing yourself to write.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of writers do that. I think a lot of writers, that's where they get writer's block. They don't force themselves to write.
They just let it happen. They let it. It's got to be natural.
Or they got to feel inspired or whatever. Right. But a lot of times, like we've talked about before, even if it sucks, you just have to force yourself to write because it'll eventually get good.
There's that moment where you're like, I know where the story is going. I really just don't want to write that next line of dialogue to get to those points.
And so there's been a lot of that over the last month. There's just been a lot of that. But I do feel like deadlines in general are a good thing. And even if they're arbitrary, but they really shouldn't be arbitrary. You should really try to give yourself a goal and try to keep to the goal. I think that's why a lot of people like NaNoWriMo. So I was
going to say, there was a big deadline just this past week.
So this month is the end of this month is a good time to talk about that because I think a lot of people, I think that's why they like NaNoWriMo. It's kind of this arbitrary thing. Like, let's all just write as much as we can in one month.
Yeah.
And all these people do it. And a lot of that stuff doesn't see the light of day as far as what they write.
Right. But you get to learn something about yourself. Yeah, so you're right. NaNoWriMo, I feel like most people, it's more of a month of discovering like where they are in writing or a new style of writing for themselves, or just, taking the discipline of writing to the next level. Yeah. More so than getting a work that is published for the public.
Right.
But yeah, you're right. That was a big deadline for a lot of people just this past month.
Yeah. And I think we've talked about this before, about how writing conferences can be a good kind of benchmark and deadline. Yeah. Like, we need to get this done by this time, so that we can say, like, we go to a writing conference, I can say, this manuscript is done. Mm-hmm. At least you can say it's finished. Yeah. It might need to be revised or whatever. Right. Whatever
you get into a pitching point.
You get to a pitching point, know. And so I just think deadlines are a good thing because I think so much of writing is self-discipline. Mm-hmm. A lot of writing is self-discipline. Yeah. And to be a good writer, as far as a good published writer, you have to have deadlines. You have to have those things, and you have to have that good self-discipline. So anyway, I've been all working, like I said, my tail off over the last, definitely last week, but the last 3 weeks especially, just really trying to get everything done. And then, you're figuring out, oh, this isn't done, and then
Yeah.
try not to panic and like, oh my gosh, I got to get these pictures, but I don't have these pictures, and what am I going to do? And
Right.
tomorrow's Thanksgiving, and
And
anyone going to be in the office?
Yeah.
Just stuff like that. But I think that's good. I mean, I think it's a good lesson of this is how you get prepared. This is how you make a plan, and you try to stick to it and deal with it as it comes, and just get it done. So.
Yeah, and then from just other writers that I've talked to or heard, like sometimes it seems like the deadlines can be somewhat flexible. Yeah, it's more often than not I hear someone going, "Yeah, I was supposed to have had this much done or turned in, by yesterday, and I'm just now finishing up, or I'm going to turn it in this weekend or whatever." And I think that part of that stems from the relationship that you have with the people that you're working with. The more you work with someone, the more they know kind of how that you can be trustworthy, that okay, they're going to get it done, and okay, we've got this buffer time built in because we just understand the process, and we understand each other, and we know what needs to get done is going to happen. But yeah, it's I was talking with Nick Stone, and she's like, yeah, I don't have any work stuff that I'm doing in December. And she's like, I'm going to take December off. And then I talked to her again, like right before December, and she's like, okay, so I might have lied. Like, December is really going to be my buffer month where I'm like catching up this stuff that I needed to have done. She's like, I just don't have any new things that are due in December.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's something that all creative types, whether writing or doing movies or doing other types of like if you have to do a production like a live performance or something, you have a deadline. You know when that deadline is, but there are some people that they just work better under pressure sometimes, and yeah, okay, so you memorize the whole script the night before or something, as long as you get it done.
It's not every creative person, but
Right.
a lot of creative people, most creative people,
Yeah.
have to develop the skill
Yeah.
of getting something done.
Yep.
Like, very few creatives. I think every creative person is kind of in the definition, right?
Yeah.
You have no problem with the idea,
Right.
right? I don't have a problem coming up with another idea.
Right.
Just
Right.
ask my wife,
Yeah.
right? We have this thing where whenever I'm talking, not whenever, but often when I'm talking about a new idea, she'll say, are we dreaming or are we planning?
Right.
Like, because I'll
Yeah.
just come up with, oh, you know what we should do? We should move to Omaha or something, whatever.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
start coming up with stuff. So creatives don't have a problem coming up with the idea.
Yeah.
It's the application that a lot of times we need help with.
The execution, yeah.
And that's a hard thing for some people. And some creatives are perfectionists. So
Yeah.
it's never going to be good enough to them.
Right.
Right? They will work on the same project
Until
for
they're blue
10,
in the face.
15 years.
Yeah.
And
Until they're wrinkled in the face.
right. And so deadlines help you say, look, it's going, whatever I have at this point, I'm going to make it as good as I possibly can, and then that's
Yeah.
going to be it.
Yeah, and it's funny because, like, for me, when you reach a deadline, when you hit a deadline, it does feel really good. Like, you want to celebrate it. And you're like, yeah, that was awesome. I did this thing. But then I find myself after, like, I get to that point of celebration, it's hard for me to then get back into the next step, like that next deadline or whatever, and make progress towards that. Even though I know that hitting the deadline or completing that task is gonna feel great, but sometimes it's like, I don't know, that feeling of completion almost lulls you back into that that sense of like, oh, okay, well, no, I got that done. I can take some time off. And that sometimes that can be the thing that sets you back the most.
You're right. Well, it's what's the saying, right? An object in motion tends to stay in motion.
Yes.
An object at rest tends to stay at rest. I mean, this is science. I think people are that way too. I think that we do need times of rest. We do need breaks. We need to celebrate all of those things.
Yeah.
But we have to be careful at the same time, because we can get in that state of just taking a break, and then it's been a month.
Yeah.
And, we binge watched The Office again or something, whatever it is that we get into.
Right.
And it's something I've told people over the last few months, especially because, I sit down at dinner with people, and because I consume literature and movies and shows. Like, I love stories. So they want to talk about stuff with me. And sometimes I have to say, look, I have a long list of shows I would love to watch.
Right.
But I'm actually writing books. Like, I can't watch it all. You can't keep up with it all.
At some point, you have to ask yourself, do I want to keep being a consumer, or do I want to be a producer?
Right.
I remember you were saying you had that conversation with your kids.
I did.
The other day. Like, playing the video game can be fun, but how can you be the person that makes it?
Yeah.
Watching the movie can be fun and entertaining, but who are the people that are doing the work to make the production?
Yeah.
And I think that's a saying that or a concept that I'll try and keep in the forefront of my mind, that I'll struggle with at times. It's just like, are we only consuming, or are we giving back to society in some way? Are we producing something that can be consumed by others?
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's just that, and maybe it doesn't dawn on everyone. Maybe it's not the same kind of feeling, but there's this feeling inside that I get. It's like, if all I do is a lifetime of consuming, it's just gonna be where's the value in that? It's just gonna be a waste.
And I guess you can try to learn how to do everything. I mean, you
Right.
have those sort of like Thomas Jefferson types who are just they want to figure out how to do everything.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I don't know if I'm really that kind of person.
Right.
I'm
That's
closer
not everyone.
to that.
Yeah.
But I think that there are some things we can consume and enjoy for the quality that it is. But I think there's everything in moderation, and I think that we do have to watch some of those things of what we consume and how much, in order to become producers, whether that's writing books like we're doing, or whether that's a podcast, or whether that's whatever we're producing. We have to sacrifice time that we could be doing something else.
Right.
It's one of the main reasons I haven't played video games in years.
Yeah.
And my son, it frustrates him because I used to play video games
Right.
when he was really little.
Yeah.
And I don't play them hardly ever now. And I just tell him, I said, it's because it sucks me in.
Right.
And you can't just play a video game for 10, 15 minutes anymore. Nope. It's all of a sudden you look up and it's been an hour. It's been 2 hours. And that's great if that's what you want to do. But I just think that we have to be careful with some of that time, so that we have the margin to be a producer of something. It doesn't have to be video games. I just know my son likes video games.
Right.
And I'm like trying to get him to think in a different way. Because you're right. Most people don't think that way.
Yeah.
And I think people are happier when they're being creative.
Oh yeah, when they're being creative.
I think people are happier when they are creating something.
Yeah, I'd agree.
And I think people feel more connected to God, the universe, whatever you want to call it. They feel more connected to who they really are when they're creating something, even if no one ever sees it.
Right.
But I think they feel more like themselves when they're creating something.
Yeah, when they're making a contribution.
I really do. I believe that with all my heart. And so that's why I try to push people.
Yeah.
To do something.
Right.
To do something creative. Even if it's, like I said, even if it's a quote unquote hobby. Mm-hmm. Like for my wife, do something creative. And they always feel better.
Yeah.
And so deadlines to me are very helpful to focus me and us, and even if we have to give them to ourselves, it should be reasonable. But even if we give them to ourselves, try to give ourselves benchmarks. I'm going to do this by the end of the year. I'm going to do this by, and just try to be disciplined as much as you can.
Yeah.
Move forward, even if it's at a slow pace. Just move forward.
So would you say deadlines are life-giving?
That's a dad joke. That's a good dad joke.
And on that note, let us move forward. You've got the next section of the Singularity story.
I do.
And what did you title this one?
Kepler.
Makes sense. Yep. We had the two options for our faithful listeners. Who did they want to take with them as payment for accepting help from Natara?
Which I really liked those choices you came out with. I really liked that.
Yeah. Was it going to be the Sovereign Weylif's wife, who Harlock had some sort of beef or history with whatever? She was not a fan of bringing her aboard.
Right.
Or was it going to be this man, Tyrell Kepler, who was part of the Kepler family that made and designed the transportation technology, and he had some kind of falling out with the IIF because of that. But Mitch was very wary of him because he had a very keen eye for Jin and the AI that was in this new body, something that no one has really seen up to this point.
Yeah.
So the listeners voted, and they chose Kepler, which I think the choice of having Kepler aboard gives us better options for more.
I think so too.
Yeah, more entertaining conflict.
Yeah.
So I was
good job,
happy.
listeners.
Yes, good job, listeners. That was great. But yeah, so unless you have anything else to say,
no, man.
Without
I'm excited. It's going to be good.
Let's jump into the story. Thanks for listening to our podcast. If you are interested in learning more about writing and how to become a writer, check out our syndication page, SeriousWriter.com. They have articles, resources, classes, videos, and a podcast, the Brew and Ink Podcast. Again, check out SeriousWriter.com. Thanks for listening.
Singularity, Chapter 12, Kepler. Jin looked from me to Harlock. She stood still for another moment, probably processing the data. With a blink, she faced me. I have no reason to trust or distrust either. I placed my hands on my hips. Weylif obviously had his agenda, and we would be subject to that agenda either way. However, if you are asking my opinion, Jin stated, then I would choose the engineer. His expertise and experience with the Kepler ring tech might help us. Harlock visibly relaxed. Arya didn't seem to have any specific skills of value for the mission anyway. I didn't trust Kepler, the way he stared at Jin especially. He had his own agenda as well, but at least he stated it. His conflict with the feds lined up with our own desire to bring them down. I took a deep breath. Fine, let's take Tyrell. Harlock spun to walk over to Weylif. I couldn't hear their conversation, but the Sovereign beamed. I leaned closer to Jin. I don't like or trust them. He and Weylif have some agenda. We need to be careful. Yes, Mitchell, Jin said, her own volume low. Tyrell strode back with Harlock, who said, the repairs are underway and should be done within the hour. Weylif and Arya waved at us before they left, Arya scowling in our direction. Waving back, I forced a smile, but my face went blank when addressing Tyrell. Since you have the most experience, do you have any ideas of how we can get into the core and get the data we need? He pushed up on his glasses and gave a squinty grin. Ideas? Of course, I have ideas. I know the core, the Nexus. Tyrell fell silent. Harlock and I shared glances. Well, Harlock ventured, can you share those ideas? Of course, Tyrell said. I will need access to the computer navigation systems. Harlock's chest heaved and almost popped out of her clothes with a deep breath. I will have Nisha meet you at the main hangar with that information. She grabbed the disk communicator at her hip and lifted it. Would you like for me to contact Nisha for you? Jin asked. The captain paused awkwardly with the communicator at her mouth. Sure. Jin blinked. Very well. It is done. Okay. Harlock's hand lowered. Also, Jin continued, I could give the engineer access to the main computer. Silence reigned. Jin had said she would still retain access to the systems. Jin's face didn't look like my dead wife anymore, back to the former appearance she chose for the hollow, but that creepy memory wasn't far from the back of my mind. Harlock's body tensed. I think I would like for Nisha to share it. Thank you. Very well, Captain, Jin said. Harlock frowned. I must get back to the bridge and oversee the repairs. Her eyes found mine. Contact me if you have any issues. Will do, I said. Harlock made her way back into the ship. Tyrell lifted a tablet in his hand and his fingers flew over the screen. My brows creased trying to peer over at it, but he quickly lowered the tablet once finished. Shall we go? Jin turned to enter the ship, and we followed. Within minutes, we came to the hangar area. Nisha stood at the door, a tablet in her own hand. Can't get rid of you two, can I? I chuckled. Not anytime soon, it seems. Tyrell adjusted his glasses and stuck out a hand. You must be Nisha. I must be, she said, shaking his hand. Tyrell's brows lifted, and he gestured at her tablet. Is that what I requested? It is, Nisha said. The engineer walked into the hangar. We all followed him inside and stood on the gangplank. Nisha, can you open the outside doors? Tyrell said. Nisha waited a second, the same skepticism in her eyes that I had. Sure. Her fingers scrolled up to a series of buttons. The floor beneath us shuddered as the wide doors at the other end of the hangar began to slide open. Tyrell had his own tablet in hand now, up chest high, inputting commands. A ray of light gleamed off of something outside the hangar with the doors parting. I put a hand above my eyes to shield them from the glare. Waiting just outside the hangar, a small ship floated. Shaped like a stretched teardrop, the ship had a metallic silver hull and was approximately the same size as our old Phoenix ship. When the doors opened a few more yards, the ship glided in. It made no sound, and we watched as it flew without disturbance to an empty space on the hangar floor. What is that? I said. One of my creations, Tyrell said. The Starlight. She is equipped with the latest stealth technology. Of course, I mean she is equipped with my original stealth design. You mean cloaking tech? Nisha asked. Yes, he said. Is this part of your plan? I said. It is nothing to get us through the Nexus Kepler ring without being detected. He waved a hand over his head like scaring away a fly. But we will need advanced technology to get close to the core, Jin said. Tyrell snapped his fingers. Exactly. The core controls the whole IAF. All the drones, the ships, the colonies, they are connected, managed, and controlled at the core. It is the heart and power of the IAF. The core is even more important than the fold rings for the domination of the Federation. Their security, then, is the most sophisticated in the universe, constantly being updated and adapted. But it can't update to a tech it doesn't know or hasn't seen yet, I said. That is correct, Mr. Bruce, Tyrell said. Nisha looked from the Starlight ship to the engineer. You've been planning this? You built the Starlight for this purpose. I have been waiting for this moment my whole life, Tyrell said. This moment, I said. I don't understand. You had this ship. Why didn't you go take down the IAF with the Starlight before now? Of course, Tyrell said. Excellent question. First, the Starlight has only been operational for the last 3 months, 98 days to be exact. Second, the core has several levels of security and layers of redundancies. I could, theoretically, take down the core, destroying it completely, but that would cause more damage across the universe than you could imagine. Ships without navigation, flying into stars or planets or out into the darkness of space. Not only military craft either, Nisha mumbled, but civilian craft as well. Supply lines and logistics for the survival of trillions of people across the universe would come to a standstill, Jin said. By my calculations, billions would die within the first 24 hours. Tyrell lifted a finger. A conservative estimate, by me, is 8.325 billion. After the first 24 hours, the number of deaths is dependent upon human response. How would a human population respond to a universal cataclysmic event? A population used to core control? Probably not good, Nisha said. Agreed, Tyrell said. You said you waited for this moment, though, I said. You mean Jin? I meant an opportunity like Jin, Terrell said. Your AI said she found a specific file and then lost access to the core when her intrusion was detected. She had found, in effect, the asteroid in the galaxy, and this Jinn, your wonderful Jinn, can lead us to that specific file, can't you? Yes, Jinn said. With that specific file, Terrell said, we can be routed into the mainframe of the core, separate from its own AI, and that will allow us to retrieve that information without causing billions of deaths. And when we release that information, then we can bring down the IF, I said. We expose them without bringing down the whole infrastructure. You understand now, Mr. Bruce, Tyrell said. Shall we go see my baby? Tyrell took the stairs from the gangplank down to the hangar floor. Nisha followed, with Jim behind her, and I took up the rear. We wove together through the other ships, many of them in different states of repair. The Starlight rose majestic and separate from all the other ships around it. No landing gear protruded from beneath it. The craft hovered a meter off the floor. Terrell's fingers found buttons on his tablet once again, a sliver of the side of the craft lowered to the floor, a ramp up into the ship. The engineer mashed the glasses up on his nose and bowed. After you. I went first, curious about the Starlight. The others came after me as I examined the interior. A small area behind the cockpit with 2 seats and compartments. 2 other seats were situated at the front behind a sloped dashboard. All the walls and the dashboard were smooth. A helmet sat in the chair on the right when I ducked into the cockpit. Where are the instruments? I asked. The stick, the controls. Ah, Terrell said. He joined me in the cockpit and picked up the helmet. This helmet allows full control of the systems. The control is as fast as an AI once you get used to it. My jaw dropped. Really? Tyrell smirked, one of my new pieces of tech. No instruments, I said. Tyrell placed the helmet on his head, waited a short time, and then waved a hand over the dashboard. Instruments appeared as holograms. I couldn't speak at first. I swallowed loudly. Nisha called from the area behind us. Harlock says the repairs are done. They're ready to leave if we are. Tyrell said, go ahead and close the hangar doors if you will, Nisha. She nodded and put in some commands on her tablet, and the doors closed as the slag tree lifted from the dock, the horizon disappearing, then blocked by the closed doors. Now, Tyrell said, Nisha, I will need access to the main computer to download the program that will navigate us through the rings without federal detection. Nisha froze, her face blank, hesitating. Jin turned to us. I can give access if you would like. Well, that broke Nisha from her daze, and she shook her head. No, I'll do it. She lifted her tablet and brought it to Tyrell. She showed him the codes. Thank you, he said. He closed his eyes, then opened them. I'm in. Program downloaded. Nisha sniffed and glared at me before stepping back out of the cramped cockpit. It was only large enough for 2, even with the skinny Tyrell. She went into the area behind us. Tyrell reached out and manipulated a few of the hollow controls. I must speak with you privately, Mr. Bruce. I glanced over my shoulder. They can't hear us, the engineer said. I have isolated the cockpit. Even your AI can't gain access. I frowned at him. Okay, what do you want to talk about? I've seen how uncomfortable you, Nisha, and Harlock are with Jin's access to the slag tree's computer, Tyrell said. My assumption is that you placed her in the body to contain her, which I must say was an ingenious solution. AIs can't be trusted. Now that I have access to the ship's mainframe, I could kick her out of the system, making sure she is controlled. Wait, you can do that? I said. The hackers on this ship are good, but I am better. Tyrell gave me that grin. Would you like me to kick her out of the system, Mr. Bruce? If you trust her, then I will continue to allow it. But if you believe it is safer, I will block her access. Which would you prefer?
That was
that.
Yeah. So we've got 2 choices, which are basically Mitchell Bruce, is he going to stay sided with Jin, trusting her, and allow her to continue to have just kind of this free access
to whatever she wants, really?
Right, pretty much any system
which
she
has
can get her
been the
hands
story
on.
through the whole book that we've been doing. Through the whole story, she's been able to get into anywhere she wants.
But along the way, he's been warned by various people. You can't trust AI, don't give her this access, don't give her this freedom. And now the choice has come to him. Tyrell Kepler is like, I can kick her out. I can keep her maintained and restrained to the body if that's what you want. So now, faithful listeners, the choice is up to you.
Booyah.
You are standing in Mitch's shoes. Do you trust Jin to continue moving in the freedom that she's had, or do you think it wiser to restrict her and try and control her? And what would be, what could be the outcome of that? There may be some backlash, and we may find out Jin is a lot more capable than we've given her credit for. Who knows? Right. But I like how you brought in this character, Kepler, and he kind of took over, stole the show. He's like, hey, give me these. I need a couple of these things. And then once they gave him those little things, he's like, okay, here's this new ship I made this for a plan just like this. You guys actually happen to be coming into my plan that I've been, planning for all my life, he says. Yeah. And then at that point, he's like, okay, I just need a couple other things. And they keep giving him little things here and there, and he seems very much in control of the situation at this point.
Yeah.
Like he's a man that knows what he wants and knows how to get it, and it could be a good thing. It could help them succeed in their mission, but it could also be something to be cautious of as well. Anyone that is used to having that much power.
Yeah, he's the chief engineer of a whole planet.
He's used to people liking his ideas and executing his ideas.
Yeah. And obviously he's got all this advanced tech.
Yeah.
But remember, they were told the cost is going to be more than you want to pay.
Right.
So now they're having to make some of these decisions.
Yeah.
Like here he is. He thinks he's got free reign to do kind of whatever he wants.
Yep.
So the question is he going to believe, right? Is Mitchell going to believe all these people who've been warning him? And he kind of feels uneasy about it too.
Right.
She's been getting pictures of his dead wife and all this kind of weird stuff. Like, how does she feel?
She's trying to be helpful, it seems. Yeah. But at the same time, it's like that awkward tension of when it's sort of the elephant in the room. And even though the person means well in all that they're doing, everyone else is kind of mistrusting, and that's creating that tension there. So yeah, she's like, oh yeah, I can do that. It'll be quicker. It'd be easier. Do you want me to do it? And only because of out of fear and out of mistrust are they kind of putting the brakes on it.
Yeah.
So we'll see how far that goes. Which direction you faithful listeners take this next chapter.
We'll see. Well, we're getting close to the end. So
yeah.
they're going to Nexus. That's happening. So now you guys as the audience are going to help choose some of the environment and some of the situation that they're going to go under.
And you know what we haven't done in a while?
What's that?
We haven't blown something up. So,
that's true.
We could just end the story early.
That's true. Who blew I blew the ship up, didn't I? Who blew Phoenix up? Was it me?
Yeah, it was you. Okay. Yeah. Which was great because it put us into this, this last kind of couple episodes. It gave us new developments. Yeah. But yeah, so faithful listeners, I'm excited with you guys. Hopefully with you guys, I'm excited to see how the story wraps up.
Yeah.
We've got maybe 4 or 5 episodes left.
No, not many. I don't think that many.
Yeah, not even that many. I don't think it's going to be done by the end of the year.
Maybe. We'll see.
We'll have to blow something up.
Hopefully not the core, because then the billions of people are going to die. We'll see.
C'est la vie. Such is life. So get out there and vote. Instagram, Facebook, and the likes. And maybe we'll put it on Twitter. I saw Twitter started doing They've got polls on the Twitterverse now. So we'll see.
We'll see.
Until next time.
Raise
a glass to inspiration.
Or can.
Stay inspired, guys.
Stay inspired. Choice 1. Kick Jen out of the slag tree system. Or choice 2. Allow her access to the system. His conflict with the feds. She shifted her tablet. Only large enough for 2, even with the sky. Nisha sniffed and glared at me before stepping back out of the cramped cockpit. Only large enough for 2, even with the skinny Tyrell, and into the air. That's a bad sentence. Arya didn't seem to have any specific skills of value for the mission. I can't talk today.